My TBR jar has spoken. It wants to give y'all some book recs. I thought it would be fun to do a book recommendations video with the books that I have read, but with a twist, we are going to be using the TBR jar to pick out some prompts, and I will be giving you book recommendations based on those prompts. So, say I pick, can't even think of a prompt. Say I pick, longest book, I will give you a recommendation based on some of my favorite long books, etc. I did go ahead and stick some of my TBRs from previous TBR jar videos back into the jar so that we can have all flavors of life mixed up in here. Also, get a good look at these shelves because this is probably the last time that you're going to see these shelves because this exact weekend, my husband, father-in-law, and I are going to be redoing them. So, to celebrate new shelves, I thought, what better way than to I'm going to be taking the books off the shelves anyways, okay? Like, I might as well take them off and then recommend them to you. But anywho, we are going to be doing 20 prompts today. Let's get started. The first recommendation, okay, this one says non-reader picks a book for you. Anything that's kind of like that, I'm going to put back, like put away, because that's a lot of work. And it's my TBR jar and I that are giving you the recommendations, not my friends. Anywho, prompt one, for real this time, hopefully. Start a new series. Okay, I'm gonna go pick some of my favorite series, especially books 1 in a series, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have 3 series that I would highly recommend for pretty much any reader. The first one is obviously Red Rising. If you are new to this channel, or even if you're returning, Red Rising is my all-time favorite series. And I highly, highly recommend. It is one of those series similar to ACOTAR. If you can get through this first book, I think you're going to love the rest of the series. This first book gives very much Hunger Games vibes. Like, it's basically about a guy rising to the top. He is a slave. He wants to no longer be a slave. And he is a Red Rising, literally. And the first book is him kind of infiltrating the military academy. And then from there, we go to epic space drama. Amazing. Golden Sun, book 2, like genuinely is probably the second sequel book I've ever read in my life. Next, I would recommend starting The Naturals. This, again, is just one of my all-time favorite series. It is so good. It is basically about this group of students. They're like 17, 18, 19 kind of age range. They are what they call the naturals, and they all have special unique abilities that can help them help the FBI solve mysteries. It is very fun. It is advertised as a YA, but in my opinion, it doesn't read like that. And there's also a 5th and new book releasing this November, which is crazy because this book has been like finished for quite a while. I am ecstatic, so now is a better time than ever to get into the series. And last but not least, I would recommend starting Only a Monster. This is a series I don't hear very many people talk about. This book is so good. I really, really like the first 2. It's a trilogy. The third one was okay in my opinion. The author did some things that I thought kind of came out of left field, but speaking of only book 1s, I just think that this is such a fun first book. Basically, we follow Joan. She is a monster in a world where, monsters aren't necessarily super accepted. And then she has to do some stuff. I don't even know how to describe this series. Yes, so basically our main protagonist in this first book, Joan, she works at this kind of like museum, and her cutie coworker Nick and her are about to go on a date, but then something happens and she starts kind of to time travel, and it turns out that not only is Joan a monster, Nick is this, world famous monster hunter. Oh, and then there's Aaron. Okay, he is the heir to a monster family that hates hers. It is such a beautifully delicious story. It is so fun. The love triangle in here, so good. It is so good. Highly recommend. Okay, our next prompt. Best first line. Okay, this one's kind of silly. This one is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Again, this would be a really great series to start. I love this series. The first line is literally Everyone in my family has killed someone. But it's so intriguing. I love this first line. And then it says, some of us, the high achievers, have killed more than once. That's crazy. We also have an absolute classic here. This is The Way of Kings. This is technically in the prologue, but it's Seth Son Villano, truthless of Shinovar, wore white on the day he was to kill a king. Iconic. And then speaking of iconic, I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't read the first line of Red Rising to you. This is one of the most quoted lines in the whole series. Here it is. It's in this unnamed, basically a prologue, but it doesn't say prologue, but it says, "I would have lived in peace, but my enemies brought me war." Prompt 3, a book with a title you love. This one is very interesting, I think. One that comes to mind is The Conditions of Will. This title perfectly sets you up for what this book is going to be about. I just remembered all of the books that I don't own physically, so we have to be checking our Goodreads sometimes too, guys, because the amount of books that could be applicable that I don't physically own. Okay, I think we are on prompt 4 now. Okay, a book you have on audio. This one is super fun because I think I'm going to interpret this as a book that I think is super good on audio. The obvious choice here is Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you have somehow not heard of this book and this audiobook, this is basically about a boy, a man, his girlfriend, let me reel it back in. It's basically about a man and his ex-girlfriend's cat as they traverse into this video game-like dungeon once these group of aliens come to take over the world. They basically tell them, you either have to go into the dungeon and play our game that's going to be broadcast to the whole world, or you die. Or you try to survive on Earth, but good luck because we got rid of everything. So, naturally, Carl and Princess Donut traverse into the dungeon and stuff happens from there. It is so good. The audiobooks on these are genuinely some of the best I've ever listened to in my whole entire life. Jeff Hayes does a phenomenal job. He voices pretty much every character, which is crazy because this is one of those series that has 8 gazillion characters, but not in a confusing way. Pretty much everyone that you need to remember, you will, trust me. But yeah, if you have not picked up Dungeon Crawler Carl yet, I would highly recommend doing so, and especially on audio. Okay, it is time for prompt 5. A sword on the cover. Interesting. I think I have one just in mind. Okay, for this one, I also brought a print I have. My suggestion would be Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, but the reason I brought over a print is they are about to re-release the book with this cover. This is the 2 main characters and Nightblood on the cover. I love this art, to the point I might need a second copy of Warbreaker. But anywho, Warbreaker is a standalone novel written by Brandon Sanderson that is basically about these 2 sisters, one of which is destined to go off and marry the king of another kingdom, and the other one is pretty much destined to do nothing. From what I remember, she isn't trained to do anything, but last minute their father decides to reverse their roles, and obviously crazy things happen. The sword that I was talking about in this book, which I think is hilarious that this isn't the sword, that's the sword, but anywho, his name is Nightblood. He is a character in and of itself. He is so funny. It follows the 2 sisters, and then we follow the sword and its owner, and then we follow these 2 kind of gods. I think maybe the Greek gods or something like that. There's 2 of them. They're a little silly goofy. The book is just so good. Like I said, it is one of Brandon Sanderson's standalones, but it does relate to the Stormlight Archive pretty heavily. So, do with that information what you will. Honestly, any prompt I get that allows me to pick out a Brandon Sanderson book is a good prompt. Let's see what our next prompt is. A new to me author. Okay, this one is interesting because obviously I don't know what authors are new to y'all, but I am going to pick a couple of books that I have discovered the authors in the last couple of months or years. The first author that comes to mind is Antonia Hodgson. I read The Raven Scholar earlier this year and a little bit last year, and I really like her writing style. I thought that it was a good blend of fun and kind of fantasy, but also maintaining kind of this it just read like you were really smart. Obviously, this book is about a scholar, so it could have been weighted a little bit, but I didn't feel fake reading it. Sometimes I feel like you read books about scholars and it's that's a little like that's pushing it. You know, like it gets kind of in this cringy way. This book felt like truly like Antonia Hodgson herself is a scholar, and we are just like kind of living her brain through a fantasy world. Basically, this is about a kingdom where every, I want to say it was like 50 years or something like that. It says, oh, so our current emperor has only been here for 24 years. And basically, there's going to be a competition for the new warrior, the new emperor. And think kind of like the Hogwarts houses. There are these different houses, like the raven, the monkey, the dragon, etc. And they represent different kind of like traits. So like the ravens are really smart. The dragons are really strong warriors. There was like I think like maybe a fox, and they're all very cunning, etc. You get the idea, I hope. But basically, they send one representative each to try to compete to be emperor. But one morning, one of the contestants is dead. And so our main character, the Raven Scholar, is basically the replacement Raven, and she is trying to compete for the throne while also solving the murder. And it is crazy. It is such a good book. I really, really highly recommend. And then this isn't the first book in the series, but obviously a new to me author this year is Cassandra Clare. I am slowly but surely making my way through the Mortal Instruments / Shadowhunters, I guess, universe, and I have read I think about 7 books from her now, and I plan to hopefully read so much more this year. This is one of my current reads. It is on my July TBR, but I hope that I can continue to read more of hers. I would highly recommend it if you've somehow not ever read Cassandra Clare. Basically, all of her books are kind of an interconnected world. It's like an urban fantasy where there's like these demons that these shadow hunters hunt, and it is crazy. Each of them is a little bit different. My favorite so far has been The Infernal Devices. I have a whole reading vlog over here on my channel about me reading those, but obviously one of my favorite new authors this year. Okay, I think we are on prompt 7. Read a sequel. One second. It's me again, back to report that if you do not read Golden Sun, you are doing yourself a disservice. Okay? And if you still don't like the series after Golden Sun, I understand, and that's okay. Are you breaking my heart? A little bit, but I get it, okay? I get it. Not every series is for everybody, but don't give up after book 1, I beg you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Our next prompt, both with gods in it. This is an interesting one. Listen, I'm sure there are tons of books that I could recommend for you in this specific category, like Dawn of Glass and ACOTAR both come to mind, but my number one suggestion is and always will be Fourth Wing. If you have somehow still not read Fourth Wing, do yourself a favor and pick it up. Please, 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 please. It is so good. We basically follow this young woman as she trains to be a warrior and a dragon rider in this Dragon Academy, and if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. Okay, another one. Oh, pick based on vibes only. These are my favorite kind of picks, to be honest. Okay, I've pulled 2 recommendations for this prompt. One of them is a little bit out of left field. Let's talk about that one first. My first pick is The Art Thief. This is by Michael Finkel. This is a nonfiction, but it's written like a real story. This is basically about the famous art thief from, I want to say it was like early 2000s, maybe. It says Stefan Breitweiser, I don't know, is the most prolific art thief of all time. He pulled off more than 200 heists, often in crowded museums in broad daylight. This is one of those weird books where it's like technically, like I said, a nonfiction, but it is written like a real story, and I had such a good time reading this. I feel like it is a fun nonfiction. If you have never read a nonfiction, this is one that I would recommend. And I am genuinely obsessed with the sprayed edges on this. It is Bats, which, if you didn't know, is one of my favorite one of my favorite animals of all time. I almost said my favorite author of all time. If Bats wrote books, that'd be crazy. But anywho, I would highly recommend that book. I don't see many people talking about it, and like I said, I'm not a nonfiction girly, and I genuinely loved reading that book. It is so like crazy. It feels very Six of Crows, but like in real life. And then my next pick is If We Were Villains. This is just one of those books that I love. I feel like strictly for vibes. I have mentioned this in some videos of mine before. I went to a fine arts high school growing up, and this book just like encapsulates that so well. It's like, what if the obsession of an art caused you to do unthinkable things? And I love it. I love this book. I genuinely cannot recommend it enough. But it is a little crazy. Okay, this is our 10th prompt. Finish a series. I'm going to pull a prompt for this where I think the third book is the best book, but every book is a good book. One second. This is The Hero of Ages. This is the third book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson, which, speaking of, I'm pretty sure in like 2 days is the 20th anniversary of the first Mistborn book. So congratulations to Mr. Sanderson himself and Mistborn, this amazing series. Somehow, this is one of those series that like book 1, 5 stars. Book 2, 5 stars. Book 3, 6 gazillion stars. It is the perfect ending like to a trilogy ever. So if you've somehow not picked up the first Mistborn yet, this is your sign to do so. Mistborn is basically like if Six of Crows and Bridgerton had a baby. It is so, so, so good. What would you do if the villain won? That's all I gotta say. Okay, we are on to prompt 11. An arc. What I'm gonna do for this one is I'm going to pick a book that is not released yet, but I have read it, and it releases very soon. I would highly recommend you pick it up, and that is Flicker State by F.A. Davidson. I read this book, I want to say back in like April or May, and I have not stopped thinking about it since, which makes me kind of think I should bump it up to 5 stars. It was originally a 4. This book is basically advertised as catabasis for adults. We follow Nora as she infiltrates this school to try to solve a mystery for a cure for this disease that her and her father have, and if they don't cure it, it will kill them. And the reason she has this disease is in Flicker State, the book, you can enter this thing called Flicker State, which is basically a magical world. Like, you enter Flicker State and then you can kind of like affect the real world around you, and it is so, so, so good. I believe it is going to be a standalone. If not, please let me know, because I don't know, and I'm like gnawing at the bars for more from this world. Highly, highly recommend. Also, the cover and the sprayed edges, gorgeous. Prompt 12. This one says Zoe Picks, which, if you don't know, is my dog. She is taking a nap for the first time all day today, and I also said I'm not going to be doing any of these other people picks, but just know, Zoe, I'm thinking about you, girl. Also, I lied. I think this is technically prompt 13. Anywho, a book everyone is talking about. I have the perfect pick. If you have somehow not picked up Into the Blue yet, please, please, please go ahead and pick this book up ASAP. It is so good. It is basically about these 2 writers, not even writers. One of them wants to be a writer on SNL, but these 2 actors who discover they have this kind of like passion and vibe that only happens when they're on stage together. And they discover this as kids. And then one day, the main male character one day disappears. And the main girl's like, oh well, like I guess I'm never acting again. Like, there goes my spark. And then a couple of years later, they end up on the set of the same TV show together. It's so good. I highly, highly, highly recommend this. And come on, come get in on the conversation. It's really fun over here. Also, I just noticed I've been putting all the books away, and part of the point of this video was to help me take them off so that once I redo my office, I have less to pack. But oh well. Prompt 14, a future obsession candidate. I think I have a pick that you will likely be obsessed with. Okay, I have 2. This first one's a little silly because I imagine most of us here have read it, but I'm interpreting this as this book is going to make a resurgence. I'm calling it now, because once that movie drops in November, if you have somehow not read Sunrise on the Reaping, this is Haymitch's story. Please go read it. I am genuinely thinking about doing a reread of this soon in preparation for the movie. It is one of those weird books, though, that when I read it, I didn't really love it, but I think upon a reread, I could absolutely love it. Another book I think you could absolutely obsess over is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This came out, I want to say January 2025-ish. That's at least when it was a pick for Book of the Month, so I'm thinking that's when it released. But anywho, it has been announced that it is going to be a TV series, and if you've somehow not heard of this story, it is basically Daisy Jones and the Six, but put them on ice. They are ice dancers. If you have ever seen the 2018 Olympics, I think that's when it was, and it is this ice dance couple, and they are dancing to the Moulin Rouge soundtrack. That's literally this book. This book is written in such a way that it feels like a fever dream, which is why I think you will, in fact, be obsessed. It is so hard to think about anything but the drama of this book when you were reading it. Highly recommend. Prompt 15. Prompt 15. Yeah. Let's see. A book with a long title. Okay, this next recommendation is a little out of left field for me. This isn't my typical genre, and I assume because you're here on my channel, this probably isn't your typical genre either. This is a horror book written by Grady Hendrix. This is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This is basically a novel about this group of women in their 50s or 60s kind of, and they have a book club. And one day, this neighbor kind of is like, hey, I really want to join that book club. And everyone's kind of got these weird suspicions around him. Once he started showing up to town, kind of weird stuff started happening. And this book is genuinely frightening. There are a couple scenes in here that unfortunately live rent-free in my brain. And it's just really good. It is very thought-provoking. I've read some reviews where people really dislike this book because of some of the topics it discusses. But I think it's one of those books where the topics are metaphors for other things. Like the adult, for example, the vampire has a relationship with a teenage daughter, and I don't think that this book is glorifying it. I think it is trying to bring light to the topic in a way that's using vampires as a metaphor, which, as a Buffy the Vampire stan, that is my favorite type of metaphor. I would definitely recommend checking this one out, though. It's very unique. I think we're on 16. Book with a number in the title. Well, obviously we have Fourth Wing. Let me see if I can find another one, though. I would be doing one of my all-time favorite books a disservice if I didn't choose this for my number pick. This is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. The third and final book of this trilogy comes out in September. I am ecstatic. This book is basically about a girl named Alex Stern as she kind of navigates college while also having this ability to kind of see and speak to ghosts. But also she is a member of this community, I think kind of like a sorority. It's the Secret Societies of Yale. She is a member where her house monitors the other houses to make sure they aren't getting up to super scary, crazy things. I love Ninth House. I would highly recommend it. It is one of the picks, though, that I would say check trigger warnings. It does have some pretty dark scenes, but I think the story is just absolutely phenomenal. Prompt 17. I don't know why I'm singing all of the prompts now. It's just it's just happening, okay? Get used to it. Highest rating on Goodreads. I know for a fact that 2 of the highest rated books on Goodreads ever are Lightbringer by Pierce Brown and Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I've already recommended books in those series before, so I'm going to hop on over to Goodreads, give it a little browse, but those are technically the winners. It is a member of the Red Rising series and then a member of Stormlight series. Highly recommend, obviously, but let's see if there's anything else I can tell you. Okay, I'm not kidding. I'm scrolling Goodreads. Lightbringer, Words of Radiance, Kingdom of Ash, The Butcher's Masquerade, This Inevitable Ruin, The Way of Kings, The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, A Court of Mist and Fury, Empire of Storms, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Queen of Shadows, Oathbringer, Harry Potter. Hello? I have found one here, though, that I don't think any of you will have read. Let me grab it. This is Duck Dive. This is a book written by an indie author local to me. Her name is Mallory Ray. She is a good friend of mine. She's in my book club. Her book is so good. It's basically about this girl who she hasn't known her mom, and she somehow discovers, I read this a long time ago, guys, okay? She somehow discovers that she can like time travel using the tides of, like, using the, what am I trying to say? She can time travel using the phases of the moon. There we go. So each of the chapters kind of have, a sticker fell off, these like phase of the moon charts. Mallory also included really cool like songs that go with each chapter. And yeah, this was a super endearing, heartwarming story about, you know, it's kind of a coming of age, discovering your family, discovering yourself. Would you do things differently if you could time travel, etc.? I really, really liked it. And you should definitely check it out. It says you can find her at malloryray.com, and I believe her book is also on Amazon. And if I remember right, she does the audiobook herself, which I think is really cool. Okay, I think we are on prompt 18 now. A book longer than 400 pages. Okay, to keep on theme with the indie recommendations, this is The Last Dragon. This is by an indie author named Monty K. Rue. I read this, I want to say about a year ago now, and I have continued to think about it since. It is basically if Fourth Wing and Divergent and Attack on Titan and some other things that are suddenly, they've left me. But like if all of those came together, we basically follow our main character, Zell. He is one of the commanders of this military that is trying to hunt down the last dragon. And yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you. You should definitely check this book out, though. She is actively writing book 2. I think it is going to be either a trilogy or a 5-book series. This book is crazy. She has said that book 2 is even crazier. So I'm really excited. You can check out the book on Amazon. I believe it's on Kindle Unlimited. I will leave a link to this and Mallory's down in the comments below, or in the description, I guess. Next to last prompt. Let's get a good one. Feeling good about this one. The newest release on your shelf. Let me go grab it. I've already read it. This is Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. This is by Brooke Averick. This book is so good. It made me so giddy and happy. It is not the best book in the whole world, okay? It is a debut book written by an influencer. However, this book was such fun vibes. It is basically about, I almost said Brooke Averick. It's about Phoebe Berman. She is a almost 30-year-old virgin, so she makes basically this bucket list of ways to lose her virginity, and along the way, naturally, different men come up, and the whole book, you're wondering, oh my gosh, who is she going to end up with? It is really fun. It reminded me a lot of kind of those early 2000s rom-coms, and yeah, I had a super good time reading it. I would highly recommend checking this out if you haven't already. Last prompt, best prompt. This one, read whatever sounds good right now, in all caps. Can you even see that? I doubt it. Man, I don't know what sounds good right now. I think I'm just going to use this as a free pick to recommend one of my all-time favorite books and one of my best books to recommend to people. This is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. You have probably heard of and read Ashley Poston before. Her book, The 7-Year Slip, is incredibly popular. However, I will stand on my soapbox for a second. I think that this is Ashley Poston's best book, which is crazy because this is technically like her first book. She had some other books before this. This is like the first one of this kind of sub-genre of magical realism romances. But this book basically follows our main character, who's a ghostwriter, and she is in a little bit of a slut. She is in a writing slump. She doesn't believe in love anymore, and even worse, her father has just died. So she returns home to help her family prepare for his funeral, and her now dead editor, or like, what is he even called? The guy who's like trying to get her to finish this book shows up on her doorstep, because it turns out that our girl Florence can see the dead. And it is just so good. It's one of the best explorations of grief I've personally ever read. I love this book. I've read it 2 or 3 times now, and every single time I get something new from this book. So if you have somehow not read The Dead Romantics yet by Ashley Poston, this is your sign. Please, please, please give this book a shot. It is pretty short too. Like, it's only... I lied. It's 344 pages, but it reads incredibly quickly. I think you're going to absolutely fall in love with Benji and Florence. What is his name, right? Benji? I'm like second guessing myself, even though I've read this book 3 times, but I feel like you're absolutely going to love them the same way I did, and I cannot recommend this book enough. But anywho, thank you so much for watching today's video. The TBR Jar and I had an amazing time recommending you guys some books. Let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of these books? Do you also recommend them? If not, let me know which one you plan to pick up first, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.